Oh, we get what we deserve. And where down we go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Granny's Peach Tea, episode 178. And we got a lot to get into this week. I know it's been a minute since we've been on, but thanks for joining us as always. If you're joining us on the Facebook live stream, if you're joining us on YouTube, or wherever you found your audio-only podcast, we always appreciate the support. Yes, finally, we will be, I don't know if it's X-Men proper or whatever you want to categorize it as, but yes, our movie of the week is Logan, as we were just about wrapping up our X-Men rewatch that we started quite some time ago. We've got the Penguin series finale or season finale. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we also got 2 episodes of Superman and Lois to talk about, as that is beginning to wind down. And we also have some trailer reactions to get to, because the Brazil D23 was not too long ago, and they had a lot to break down there. So, yeah, thanks for joining us. As always, I had mentioned, I'm Ed, and with me as always is Jason. Jason, what's up, dude? What's going on?
Ed, how's it going? Good to be here. Good to see you. Good to be seen. Happy Tuesday. It's a somber day, apparently. Because we're doing Logan's, we're gonna be somber. I think we should start a segment that we do called Old Man Ed and Old Man Jason, where we just talk about our sciatica. Because come on, 20 minutes of this movie is this guy like, I'm old, let me die.
Oh my God, that's true. Charles also, like, the both of them are just like, damn, dude.
Seriously, everyone but Caliban wants to die in this movie. And so that's the thing. It's like, guys, my knees are going. And I was walking up the stairs today and I was getting this pain in my knee. Oh, man, I gotta go to my second job and drive my limo.
It's funny because I was going through a lot of the stuff, right, when I was going to go ahead and pick the music. And there was always like the 2 songs that I remember that were like used to promote Logan. I remember back when it came out in the theater, and that was one of them by Kaleo. Away Down We Go, and there's also Johnny Cash. Yeah, no, they're great songs, but it's like real, just like even watching the movie, you're just like, damn.
We're gonna get into it, and look, I'm not gonna like bury the lead. I love this movie. I'm fucking with it now just because I got a vamp for time while Ed puts the show out. But we'll get into it. But this is a dark movie. Like, when we get to it, we'll get into it. But this is possibly the darkest superhero movie we've ever gotten.
Yeah, it's certainly in the conversation, and
definitely the most cynical.
Yeah, I was actually there's a brief part of me that thought about Joker briefly, and then I started to get upset again, so I course corrected because I know where it was going to lead me. So I don't want to do that.
You don't want to go down that road, my friend. We've beaten that. We've slain that dragon. We never have to watch it again.
I was happier after Logan than I was after that. Like, happy. Like, happy.
It's because Logan is a good movie.
Exactly. But I mean, it's just like, but like the tone and how you feel about it, you're like, shit. Damn. Like, it tugs at all the heartstrings and everything like that. And like this most, like, whatever. I'll save that for later. Again, you're right. I don't want to bury the lead.
Yeah, we'll save it. We'll save it.
But
yeah, I don't want to start talking about the movie. I just want to tell you about my shoulder. All right.
My knee's been cranky and clicking and shit like that. And
all
all right. Well, let's get into it then, since we do have a lot to get to this evening. First thing was from each one of you was a new trailer for Captain America: Brave New World, which is only a couple of months away. It's kind of crazy to think that we are actually getting a new MCU movie after, like, we're wrapping up the year of the one MCU movie. Like, it's kind of nuts, and I don't even remember the last time we got one MCU movie, because even when Iron Man came out, The Incredible Hulk came out a few months later.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't think we've ever just gotten one.
No, I'm going to look back on it, because I'm just kind of curious. I don't remember when was the last time we even just got one. It's kind of wacky. I mean, not counting like 2020, because that doesn't that excludes everything. But outside of that,
yeah. I mean, that was pandemic. That wasn't planned.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about that. But let's jump into the trailer though. And Jason, I'm assuming, right, the usual, you have not watched this yet.
I didn't even know there was a new trailer, so
even better. All right, let's get to it then. Here's the new trailer for Captain America: Brave New World.
You asked for me. Here I am. You want to help me? Is there anything you remember?
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Thaddeus Ross.
Whatever this is, Cap, be careful. What do we know?
There were 5 shooters. This was a coordinated terrorist attack, sir.
I was a wartime general. Now I'm a wartime president. Your inner circle's been compromised. Let me fix it. Watch yourself. You're not Steve Rogers. You're right. I'm not. Wait for it. We're on the brink of war. I can't trust anyone. Nothing about this feels right.
Captain America. You ever ask yourself, who's playing who?
Someone's been pulling the strings on everything.
You're under arrest?
I don't want a variable out there that I can't control.
Stop!
Captain America, caught without his wings.
You'd like to play dress up and blindly execute the state's orders.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
What if this is a trap? You don't even know what this is.
Since when were they red?
You want me? Come and get me!
All right. So.
Wow, that looks good.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking intense, no?
That's and like, so 2 things I want to say. One, as a trailer, that's a superb trailer. That and it's edited and it's so interestingly, the tone is super cool, and second, it's very clearly trying to give us the old Captain America feels, right? Like, this feels like Winter Soldier.
Yep. At least
like,
based
in
on
a
the
good
trailer,
way.
I agree. Yeah.
So as you always ask, how effective was this as a trailer? I was going to see it. Of course I'm going to see it. But like, now after watching this, I'm kind of a bit excited. Like, I like Anthony Mackie. I like Harrison Ford. If this is going to be like a spy thriller, like Winter Soldier was, if it's shot like this trailer, if it's got these interesting cuts and and juxtapositions, then yeah, I'm all in. This looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, this trailer, I was pretty excited for this as well, because I would like to see more of a follow up on with Falcon, Captain America, and now we're finally getting it, and I was excited about that. But this trailer is pretty damn intense. We get a little bit more Red Hulk in here, obviously, with Harrison Ford, jumping in as Thaddeus Ross. And I think the cool thing is they're showing us stuff, but it's still not all of it. And we still don't really know what the hell's going on in this movie. So I don't think they've really given anything away, at all. Like, that's usually what the MCU does great with their trailers is some people who roll their eyes like, oh, like they're showing too much. But it just seems like they feel like you're seeing too much, but then you actually don't when you watch the movie.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because as I was watching it, I was kind of just at the end, I was kind of like, wow, they're giving a lot here. But then I'm like looking at them, like, what did they give me? Thunderbolt Ross is the Red Hulk. But I knew that already.
Which is smart. You got to sell the movie, so yeah.
You have to, but also again, it's not a secret. Like I always get pissed off when movies try to make something a secret that isn't, like, that everyone already knows going in. And so, or the trailer anyway. But so, this trailer doesn't bury that. It's like, no, fuck no. You're not stupid. You read the books. You know what this is. But we don't really know what's going on. We don't know what's motivating General Ross. We don't know what the plot is. We don't know who's behind it. But it looks good. Yeah.
And I mean, they still have there's stuff out there that we are aware of, right? Like, I'm sure we've discussed over time. Like, we know the leader is going to be in this movie. We don't know if he's the main villain or not. That's interesting. Bringing back Liv Tyler as Betty Ross is really interesting, and I'm curious to see how she plays into this.
I like that.
But we still haven't seen any of this. So unless you're on top of it, following it, you don't know any of that. Plus, it's true. If I told you, hey, what's the story? You have a fucking idea. It looks like someone's trying to kill the president.
Yeah.
And it's an espionage type thing with Captain America involved in it, and it looks like the Serpent Society might be involved in this. And Thaddeus Ross turns into the Red Hulk in this. And we have a new Falcon, which it's a lot of it we already knew.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So, I mean,
yeah, okay.
No, I was just saying, this definitely worked as a trailer for me to get my excitement level up for this movie, because I was already pretty excited for it, but I wasn't saying I was balls to the wall, super, super excited. This definitely brought it up a couple of notches, man. I'm definitely pretty hyped up for this movie now. I want to get back to this time frame in the MCU where it's not just comedy after comedy. Which I think, we've gotten a lot in the recent couple of years, that most of it's been comedic.
Yeah.
I'm sure this will have some light moments in it, but this definitely seems like it's harkening back to, like you mentioned, the Winter Soldier type term, which nobody's ever going to be upset about.
And I like that we're getting to kind of dip our toe back into the world of the Hulk that was established and then kind of had to be abandoned because they didn't have the rights. But we know we're never going to get a Hulk movie proper, outside of what we already got, which is hit or miss. But I like the fact that we're getting, we get Thunderbolt Ross back, we get Betty Ross back, we get a Red Hulk. This is also kind of a backdoor Hulk movie without the Hulk. The leader's involved. So I also like that aspect, and I think it's smart to marry the some of the Hulk lore with this new iteration of Captain America, because they know that there's going to be pushback of, well, this isn't Steve Rogers, and which I think that's why that line is in the trailer. You're not Steve Rogers. You're right. I'm not. I think that's kind of their acknowledgement, but I think it's very smart to go, all right, maybe you're not going to be here for the Falcon stuff, but come for the Hulk, stay for the Falcon. So I kind of like that.
Well, I also, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's also the thing, right? People are like, oh, Sam Wilson is not have a super soldier serum and stuff like that. And those who are not aware that he did become Captain America in the comics as well. And I will stand by just because it happened in the comics doesn't mean that it's gospel, right? Even though some people like to flip flop back and forth with that, right? Like if it's in the comics, then it's okay. Then we can't say anything about it. Some things work better in the comics, some things don't. But this, what was that?
Unless it's too woke.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it's too woke.
But this establishes what's pretty awesome about Sam Wilson, Captain America, at least a little bit, in his fighting ability, because he uses the wings as weapons in this and stuff, and he's got like this, he's using the shield as well. He's flying at like breaking the sound barrier and shit like that. Those are things that Steve Rogers didn't do. So they're going to differentiate the Captain America that we have now versus the old one. And I think that's also important to show like why get excited about Sam Wilson now taking up the mantle of Captain America. And this gives you a taste of that. And he's also going toe to toe with the Hulk. In a small in every way he can, because he can't like get into an actual fist fight with him. But I'm curious to see how that scene plays out too.
Yeah, same. And I like the fact that there's a reason I've called him Falcon America since he took over, and it's not to be glib or disrespectful. It's because I know eventually like he becomes the Falcon in the Captain America. That's his super serum. That's his special thing, the Falcon, the flying, and the Falcon stuff. And now he's incorporating the shield and the such. And I liked him in the show that he was in that we watched.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
With him and Bucky that we watched. Yeah. Falcon Winter Soldier. I really liked him in that. So, and that just remind me, that guy he's talking to in the prison, that's the old guy who had the super serum, right? From that show. Is he playing Patriot? Is that who his character is from the comic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
so
cool. I love that they brought him back. I think super cool.
Yeah, this is definitely following up. I would imagine they're probably going to give you enough background to have make Falcon and Winter Soldier mandatory to understand what the hell's going on. They will do that, but I think you probably will get a lot better context if one were to go back and watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, just to fully understand, what the hell, what's going on with this. But I said, I know Marvel is being very careful with assuming that people have watched the Disney Plus shows, because that's obviously been a tricky thing for them recently, because they saw that with the Marvels, right? Like you introduced 2 of the 3 main characters were characters introduced on Disney Plus. And some of the complaints about that were like people didn't know who the hell these people were because they didn't watch the Disney Plus shows. So they do have to tread carefully, and I'm curious to see how this movie does that.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, you shouldn't have to have homework. Like, I shouldn't have to have a subscription to Disney Plus to be able to enjoy a movie I'm going to go see. So I'm glad that they're being more cognizant of it, because I like the Marvels, and look, time will vindicate me. It wasn't great, but it wasn't the fucking shit show everyone was claiming it was. But I get why it was off-putting for people who just weren't caught up. Like, shit, I don't want to fucking do homework for this. So I'm very happy that they are taking that into consideration, because I think it's important to continue to grow the viewership.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they want to get back to a point where they were at, previously, box office wise and popularity and just, consistency. So, all right. Speaking of which, the other movie that got a trailer was Thunderbolts. That was also at D23. This is the first actual any kind of trailer we've gotten for them. So let's go ahead and check this one out, because this is also kind of like a follow-up to Falcon and Winter Soldier, partially.
I click leave on porch. Your subordinates will be reported to DoorDash HQ.
Alexi, it's me. Open up.
Milena? Elena!
Hi, Dad.
Sorry about the wait. It was an important call.
Highly classified.
Lot of work. Many irons in fire.
You feel fulfilled?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so full. So filled.
But why do you ask this? What brings you here?
There is something wrong with me. An emptiness. I'm just drifting. And I don't have purpose. I thought throwing myself into work was the answer.
When your feet are on the air, your head on the ground. Yeah.
Oh no.
Who are you?
I'm Bob.
Who sent you, Bob?
Nobody. You were all sent?
Everyone here has done bad things. Shadow ops. Robbing government labs. Contract kills.
Yeah, so?
So, someone wants us gone. What the hell?
We're brought up with this belief that there are good guys and there are bad guys.
What's the plan?
This could get messy.
But eventually, you come to realize that there are bad guys and there are worse guys and nothing else. Look at you. So adorable.
Don't worry, she's bulletproof. What happened to bulletproof? It's bulletproof-ish.
Is that Bucky?
That's not good.
All right, so funny thing about this, by the way, that was not the actual trailer that we're supposed to react to because we did that one.
Okay, because I was going to say I've seen that one.
Yeah, well, I'm going to pop in the new one, though. My bad. I actually queued up the wrong one. But I also think that we may have had internet connections that time, so you didn't actually get to see the full thing. All right. Let me pop in this one, and then we'll talk about it.
I think I only... Oh, yeah, okay.
As soon as it started, I'm like, damn it.
Oh, America's so big. You ever drive through Oklahoma? It's so flat.
You got a convoy approaching fast. Step on it.
Come on, baby.
Okay, a bit faster, please.
Lexi!
Okay, don't worry. Engaging defensive measures.
Oh my god.
Wait, that's not...
Oh my god.
Walker, shield!
Is that Bucky?
Oh, it's a Winter Soldier. That guy is so cool. That's what I talk about!
That's not good.
How crazy is it to think of all the monumental fights that happened exactly here where you're standing? I mean, the place wasn't cheap, but it's got good optics. Look at you. You are all so adorable.
Eat shit, Valentina.
Make up your mind.
The assignment is. Oh, wait, hang on. Assignment is complete.
What kind of super serum did you get?
I don't know, regular. Hydra.
Hydra. Oh, fancy.
Who is this old Santa?
The Red Guardian.
What?
Everyone here has done bad things. Shadow ops. Contract kills.
And you, former Red Room assassin. God only knows the blood on your hands.
Pretty ludicrous coming from the dime store Captain America.
I'll have you know, I was actually the official Captain America, so.
Yeah, for like 2 seconds.
It's getting so tense in here.
Who are you?
I'm Bob.
We're just drifting. And we don't have purpose. You can't escape the past.
So you can either do something about it now or live with it forever.
So what, we all just punch and shoot?
We are the Thunderbolts!
Can't call ourselves that.
Thank God.
The Thunderbolts. It's a cool name.
There we go.
That looks fun. I mean, I was excited to see it before, but I mean, look, you had me at Red Guardian, but this looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it does, and I think it definitely, you know, I guess in some level of the concept, right? It's going to be Suicide Squad's had 2 movies already, whatever you thought of either one of those movies. It's definitely Marvel's kind of like somewhat answer to it. But this seems like, I would guess it's more on the good side of Suicide Squad. I mean, you know, that's kind of what I've got. It seems like I do like the feel of it. It's got some good humor to it, but not over the top. Because it looks like it's also going to have some like pretty dark things to deal with here, like regarding all their past and stuff like that, and how they're trying to find purpose and redemption. So I think that's interesting. And we also get the answer to who the hell bought Avengers Tower. Apparently Valentina.
That's right. I think it's
finally
crazy. And Bob, there's a character called Hydra Bob, right? In the comic.
There is, but that's Century. This is Century.
That's
100% that's Century. That's
Century.
Okay.
Oh, that's Century. Okay.
Yes. That's guaranteed that's Century.
Okay.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, they're gonna play it off for that he's not or anything like that, you know, again for their trailers and stuff. But I don't think it's gonna be like a super surprise that's the Century in the movie, because I also don't know what the hell is going on in this movie as well. Besides, obviously, Valentina putting together her version of the Avengers, which also makes me think now that they added the asterisk to Thunderbolts in the official title, and they're in Avengers Tower. I'm wondering if this is actually
Dark Avengers.
Dark Avengers. I'm actually wondering if that's what we're actually getting here.
I mean, I could see that. I mean, each of them are pretty much an Avengers counterpart, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it wouldn't be totally shocking if that was really the case of where this was going. And I don't want to get my hopes up for us too, because I mean, a big player in the Dark Avengers in the comics is Norman Osborn.
I know. And we know we do know we have a Spider-Man movie coming, another Spider-Man movie coming.
Yeah, I want this. That would be such an interesting way to introduce Norman Osborn. Would be in this movie.
It would be, yeah.
Oh man,
it absolutely would be. I think it would make more sense than it would be to introduce him in Spider-Man, because in Spider-Man he's got to pay off, you know.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't want to get into this whole like crazy, like rabbit hole of thinking of it. I kind of just have a weird feeling that that's what some of the things that we're gonna get.
It would be cool, but I say before we speculate, let's see how it goes. We don't want to Mephisto this or Mojo this.
No, certainly not. But I will say, for the sake of the trailer, though, and I know we ended up watching both of the trailers that they've dropped here. I mean, I was excited for this movie, and it did up the excitement level for me now too, just to get to see a little bit more. And I love to see that Red Guardian has like some sort of taxi limo service, which is ironic of what we're covering tonight, of various Marvel characters having limo services.
And I loved his limo service is just called Red Guardian, like limousine or whatever. I love these driving around a red car that says Red Guardian on it. Like, seriously, that guy's fucking gold.
He really is. He really is. Yeah, and I'm curious to see what they do with Taskmaster now. Like, a lot of people didn't really care for that portrayal in Black Widow, so I'm wondering if they kind of like slightly
I'm one of those
correct with that too. Yeah, no, I'm not saying I was over the moon about Taskmaster. Like, just give the character more to do is what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Like,
right,
you know, lean into more.
Make him a character.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we got a lot coming down the pipe next year. Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts, and we have Fantastic Four first steps. Which I'm assuming we'll be getting a trailer for. Yeah,
for next year,
2025. Yeah, I know.
Wow, it's a big year. All right, we got some stuff coming up.
Yeah, no, they have a lot of stuff coming out next year, even though like one of the things that Kevin Feige had mentioned is their blueprint moving forward after 2025 is going to pretty much be 2 movies, 3 shows a year is going to be their game plan. But 2025 is the exception just because the writers' strike and other crap, like they had to kind of like stuff is just done. Yeah. So they got to get it out. Because, I mean, we have Marvel Zombies coming out. That's going to be the Halloween drop next year on Disney+. We have Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man in January. We've got Daredevil Born Again in March. You know, there's a lot coming out next year.
There's a lot coming out. And I've been seeing rumors. I don't know how true it is because I'm not checking the sources, but I've been seeing a lot of rumors that Disney is in the works to bring back the original 4 from the Netflix shows. So I don't know how true that is, but I don't care about Iron Fist, but give me Colt and Kristen Ritter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say that I am fully on board with that too, because John Bernthal's Punisher is back in Daredevil Born Again. Like, you went out of the way to make those officially canon now. I don't think they did it for no reason. So my guess is that we will be seeing them probably pop up in Daredevil Born Again at some point, and we'll see what happens.
Can't wait.
Going forward. Oh, and we have Wonder Man late, and I think it's next December.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So we had a little slow year this year, but next year is going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. All right, let's get into our shows then, shall we? We got Superman and Lois season 4, episodes 7 and 8. 8 dropped yesterday, so I'm going to just drop that spoiler ticker across the bottom just in case you did not watch Superman and Lois. But let's briefly touch on episode 7. Right. So one of the things that I really loved about this, besides like the scene that's been everywhere, is the scene in the diner, right? Like where Jonathan's girlfriend's father comes back, who we know is kind of like a bit of a criminal here, and gets word of and we find out that Lex is the one that tells him, by the way, not the daughter, which everyone's assuming has loose lips. Lex has a plan, and he figures, I'm going to go and execute it like this. And he tells him who he is, and he confronts Clark right in the middle of a fucking diner when he's in front of everybody there, a lot of people in the town, and pulls a fucking gun on him and basically shoots him and forces him to reveal himself.
Yep.
In an awesome scene, Jason. Absolutely awesome Superman reveal. He does the whole shirt thing and stuff like that. We see like bullet time. He looks at Lois and everything.
A little slow-mo.
Yeah. And it was, that for me was the scene of the episode. But one of the things that I did love, kind of probably even more than this, is we got to meet Jimmy Olsen, who was never mentioned in this show.
I like that a lot. Yeah, I like that a lot because it really, like, the whole crux of this episode is everything Clark had to give up to be Superman, and sometimes what he had to give up was genuine friendship, and he made that decision to protect the secret. And what I thought was brilliant about this episode was it kind of starts with him shaming Jonathan for, like, hey, stop using your powers like that. You can't tell people, because he told his girlfriend, you can't tell your girlfriend, you can tell people this is our secret. And then he starts to kind of ruminate on, okay, this is what this secret has done to my life. And I think part of why he makes this decision in the end, you could say he's forced to, but he could have, like, Clark Kented his way out of that. Everyone in the fucking town knows he's Superman. They all would have just pretended nothing happened. But he decides to go public after that. And I think a lot of that has to do with him thinking back on his relationship with Jimmy Olsen and not wanting his kids to have to do the same thing with in their life, to sacrifice people for the secret. And the fact that this show waited this long to bring Jimmy Olsen in and then brought him in such a powerful way, I thought was so smart.
Yeah, I agree, because the short version is the episode opens where he's shaming Jonathan about it, and he's trying to make a list of people around town of who the hell knows he's Superman and finds ways to disprove it. It's actually kind of funny the way he starts to do it after a while.
So funny.
And he starts doing that for a bit until we get the flashbacks with Jimmy Olsen. And him and Jimmy Olsen when they worked at the Daily Planet together, asked him to play on a softball team. And he was explaining to Lois about how he couldn't do that, and his father told him not to play sports because obviously, it's extremely unfair to what he can do. So, ironically, with Assault, he decides to join to make friends and stuff like that, and he starts learning how to. It gets called the Bunt King because he can't, really try to hit the ball, but he becomes this expert bunter, and it's kind of funny how that's the way he wins a game with it, and they show him doing that. And we know Clark Kent's a big baseball fan and stuff like that. So I thought it was pretty interesting. And a person who, I also love baseball myself. So I found it really interesting about how they got that dynamic into it in a very specific way. And then over time, they start going ahead and, Jimmy wants to win the championship and stuff like that. And they keep going along, and Clark's helping him up, but then he starts missing games because of Superman stuff, and Jimmy puts it together. He's like, dude, you're Superman. Like, come on. Every time you miss a game, Superman has to save. Like, what? I'm not an idiot, which he's not. And then they get to the championship game, and he's like, well, are you Superman? Clark denies it. And he's like, all right, well, let's see with the championship game, because who knows what could happen if there could be another save situation. And he makes this hard decision to miss the game on purpose just to keep the secret. And the Daily Planet ends up beating LexCorp, by the way. I don't know if you clocked that. That's who they were playing against in this game.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty funny. And he, Jimmy takes it a certain way, like, you weren't really trying to be a friend of mine and stuff like that. Like, you kind of blowing me off. Like, dude, you didn't have to force it. Like, if you didn't want to be friends, we didn't have to be friends. And that's like Jason, you mentioned, he sacrifices the friendship, to keep the secret. And then there's a lot. Lois is talking to the boys a lot in this episode. about a lot of the stuff to keep the secret that Clark's had to do throughout his life. And he's lived a fairly lonely life outside of Lois to keep the secret, really. And, it's an interesting way of looking at it, right? Like because it's not really something that's explored too much in the other live action iterations of Superman that we've seen over the years.
Yeah, I mean, consider this, and this episode really made me think about that. Lois is the first person outside of his parents, who raised him and already knew.
Mm-hmm.
Lois is the first person he tells. He's a fucking fully formed adult. He has spent his entire life never being himself around people. That's such a lonely, it's so lonely. And then he eventually tells Lois, but that's it, right? It can only be Lois. Can't let anyone else in. And again, we talk about ways to make Superman interesting and vulnerable because he's like a god among men. And this is another one of those brilliant ways it does that. It's like, okay, so we're going to explore just how fucking lonely this guy's life is. So he's always going to smile, and he's always so nice, and he's a genuinely good guy, and he saves the world on a regular basis. But only one person in the world knows really who he is. And that's what we're going to explore now. And that, again, such a beautiful choice as we're wrapping the season up, or the series up. And the fact that he's now thinking, okay, do I want this for my kids? Because that's the premise of the show. Superman as being Superman, the best dad he can be. And this is him going like, well, I can't be Superman here. I have to go with the Clark decision. And again, it's just such good writing. I'm going to miss this show so much.
Yeah. And he ultimately decides to, reveal the secret to the world then, right? Because they do have a conversation after the scene in the restaurant and everything is, everyone's going to find out at some point anyway. And he chooses to come forward, and he comes out on TV to Janet Olsen. And I thought that was interesting. And he does this whole reveal in his home and everything like that. Takes the glasses off and reveals to the world who it is and everything. And then there's he reconciles with Jimmy in the diner at the last scene of the episode.
Yeah.
Which, what I really thought about, man, that was really also kind of sad for me is that means this Clark and Jimmy Olsen and this Superman and Jimmy Olsen didn't have all those adventures together.
No,
that
they
sucks.
It's
sad. I mean, it's interesting.
Suck.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy's his heart, right? In the like Lois is his heart, like his romantic heart, but Jimmy's kind of like the best friend heart, like in that sense.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's sad that he doesn't have that in this.
Mm-hmm. And I thought it was another thing that I clocked. I don't know if you saw, but there's a scene where the boys are in front of a movie theater earlier on in the episode, and they're kind of being somewhat bullied by the kid who he beat out for the quarterback spot in high school. On the movie theater, there's a movie playing. I still know what you did last Flag Day.
Oh no, I didn't clock that one.
I had a pause.
They're having
I
a
was
lot
like,
of fun
what?
with movie titles.
Yes, they are.
There's another one in the 8 that which I'm not going to jump to, but there's another movie title where it's like, what? And they're having a lot of fun with them.
Yeah, I mean, do you have anything else on 7, or we can jump to 8 now? I mean, I think
we can jump to 8. Yeah, I mean, it's a great episode. It's a great episode, but you've gotten to the heart of it.
Yeah, they're both great episodes. But 8 is the one that dropped last week, and now we get Lex back. And this episode really is like Lex is back again with full force. Like, he opens up with clean-shaven Lex Luthor. Jason, what are you going to do now?
I don't know. I almost shaved this. I almost shaved this for the show tonight, but I was like, I don't know. I did say I was going to hold on to it till the end of the Superman. So I don't know. I just got to see how I feel this week. I might Lex Luthor it. I might show up next week. Gone.
All right.
I need a nice killer suit.
Oh man, does he ever? In more ways.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought I thought about you at the end of this episode because I remembered our conversation.
But the episode opens with Lex in a suit, clean shaven, and he's going to be introduced to the world, and it will reintroduce to the world. And Amanda's the one who's kind of like guiding him on this, and they're setting up this like debate with Lois Lane, and it's on this show called Godfrey, which is played by Tom Cavanaugh, who is he on the Council of Wells?
I don't know. We don't know. He might be Godfrey Wells. He might be on the Council of Wells.
It raised the question. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was thinking about this throughout the episode. Like, is this guy in the Council of Wells? Like, do we even know any of this? Is that going to be the reveal? Jason? Jason. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just going to state this. I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay. All right.
But come on. Besides Alexo suit, who else do I really get excited about in the Arrowverse? Come on. Thawne.
I'm blanking.
Thawne. Every time Reverse Flash is involved.
Oh, shit. I was thinking Heroes. You're right. I was thinking Heroes. My God. Oh, man. No, it can't be. It can't be Thawne.
I know, but
we're not in the Flash. But, that would be great if it just... it's me, Reverse Flash. Fuck you. Why not?
Dude, I wouldn't even care. I'm going to be honest. I'd be like, oh, just don't put the suit on. That's all I'm saying. We've learned that Tom Cavanaugh should probably not be wearing the suit because he just looks weird in it.
No. He looks weird in the suit. I'll tell you, though, I watched this today at work on my lunch period, and I'm going to throw it out there in case any admin are listening. It was on my lunch. But I saw Cavanaugh's name in the credits, and I was like, and I you know me, I'm so bad with names, but I was like, wait a minute, that's Wells. How do I remember that? Why is he in this? And then he showed up, and I was like, I don't care. I love this guy. Why doesn't he act more?
So he's the one who's interviewing Lex Luthor in this whole like debate and everything like that they end up calling Lois Lane to. And I guess next up on my note, by the way, was Honey, I Shrunk the Slaughter Cabin.
That was it. Yes. It's like they're having a ball with these titles.
Yeah, because if you remember, like those who remember, like Steele's daughter went to see Slaughter Cabin and stuff like that. That was their like horror movie franchise that he would go see with
that
General
was a big...
Lane.
That's right. I almost forgot about that. Good point.
So I thought I did catch that reference. That was a funny thing to follow up on. And also another random reference, by the way, that was right up our alley. George Costanza gets referenced in this episode by Jordan Kent.
I was fucking shocked. He's like, because they're talking, because Jonathan's girlfriend breaks up with him because of all the celebrity that's happening. And he's talking to Steele's daughter and his brother. And his brother's like, don't ask me. I'm a Costanza. Just do the opposite of whatever I do. And I'm like, did he just make a George Costanza reference?
That's awesome. So awesome.
Is he about to call Serenity now?
Oh, that's what we need to get in episode 9. Fuck it. Just keep going with the random references. I love it.
Why not?
All right. So basically, Lois chooses to accept this invitation for debate, even though it's all like basically a trap by Lex, and she knows it. But interestingly enough, Clark goes with her to this thing because he's out in the open. He's not wearing the glasses anymore. He flies with her, no suit on or anything like that.
One might say he's the master of his domain.
Wow. There it is. Nice. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
But there is so they're having their debate and Clark is there. And while that's going on though, Lex's tech guy, his name is Milton, he earlier in the episode hatches a plan to hack the Steel suit and his daughter's suit and starts and enacts him, and then as John Henry Irons tries to stop the hacking from happening, he locks him in the suit and takes him to go after Superman. And Superman, then Clark in the middle of the interview, it was great, and he has to like go all Superman. He's got the suit on, crashes out the window. They're tangling on, and then the daughter's suit goes after the boys, and they both go in and melt down that suit in a battle with their heat vision, which I thought was actually really cool. And while that battle's going on, Superman's battling the suit essentially, and he ends up saving John Henry from falling because it drops him, but the suit escapes. And Lex ends up getting a hold of the suit. Right?
Because the guy's talking to him, and he's like, we're over the suit shutting down. How's that possible? And John Henry is like, you can't beat Superman. He's like, no, you can't beat Superman. Better minds can. Bye-bye. And then it just like Iron Man's around him and lets him go. And he you see the shock on that man's face, like, holy shit, you're letting me drop.
Oh, he had no problem murdering him for that suit. Absolutely no problem. No hesitation. So then he goes ahead and basically takes the suit and ends up hacking it and rebuilding it for Lex to make it a Lexo suit for him, which, Jason, that was your call last episode. You did call that, so bravo. You did call that exactly. That was yours 100%. Yeah.
I did say that he was going to actually try to get the steel suit, right? I did say that's how we were going to get the Lexo suit, because, and I think very smart, we're ending where we began, right? Like the first time we met John Henry, we thought he was Lex Luthor in this suit, and now we get Lex Luthor in this suit.
But didn't you also bring back a reference, by the way? And I'm going to tie this into what I brought up earlier. Didn't when we meet John Henry, didn't the suit call him Lex Luthor?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
So the suit knows what was going to happen in the future?
Well, no, because the suit was from the other world. So I think the whole thing was John Henry stole it from that Lex Luthor.
Maybe. Or is there some sort of component going on with time?
Oh, you think there might be like a time loop thing?
We might have a Wells or a Thawne involved as well. Boom!
All right. Look, bring it. You got it, man. You got us there. I didn't even think about that.
I know I'm reaching with this one. I totally understand it. Right? Like your explanation of a complete stole it from the other world, no problem, that's it. And if they don't reference it again, then that's what it is. But maybe it's just me hanging on, trying to get this to actually be Thawne on some level. To fuck around with something.
Look, just to give you a bit of hope, they never really did explain how this Superman started off in the WB universe, the Arrowverse, as Kara's cousin, and then all of a sudden we're in a different timeline with a different Lex Luthor. I don't. Maybe the twist ending is Thawne was behind this all along.
It would be really interesting if that's the case. I'm trying not to get my hopes up for it, but it would be really interesting.
I don't think that's what they're gonna do.
No,
but it's fun to speculate.
Exactly. But the other thing too is the two other things I wanted to mention on episode 8 though before we move on is, Clark also admits that he is not as strong as he was, and that he's not as fast as he was. His hearing has been going, and John Henry runs some tests on him, and basically finding out that eventually his powers are going to go away because of the heart. the 60-something-year-old heart that was put in by General Lane. He's going to age out with that heart, and eventually he's not going to be Superman anymore.
How crazy is it
interesting
that it lined up that we had to do this in Logan, and we couldn't because we were not supposed to do this episode with Logan because that's exactly what Logan's going through.
Exactly. That's wild. It does line up for us sometimes. We've admitted
really
this at
wild.
times, inadvertently.
Yeah. That was I think the Beyonder or the Watchers up top were like, let's do this. And then Stan Lee came out and went, hey, I take credit for this. So thank you, Stan Lee, for letting me slide.
Zing!
I love Stan Lee, but come on. Everyone, you got to make fun of everyone.
Of course. By the way, Lex and Amanda finally acknowledge the tension. Yes.
Yeah, well, they don't get it
all
on, but
about
they
it
kiss.
now. Yes.
They break the tension. And I like that, though. She's like, because I like that she asserts herself, because the whole thing is she puts this plan together. And Lex has, and the whole plan is, get Lois out, discredit her on TV, and then have Clark be called away and go, hey, look, see, she got her husband to fucking do this. And that's exactly what they do. It works. Mm-hmm. But I love that it's her plan. There's a moment where Lex is clocking all of these variables. I thought that was such a cool scene where he's like listening in, seeing, and he goes, no, cancel this. End it. Too many variables. And she goes, no. You can't bail on it just because it's your plan. And I love that, like, she's challenging him. And he has that moment of like, oh, you think you know what I want? And she goes, we want the same thing. And then we come back around and they actually kiss, and he takes her hand and is like, you're right, we do. And it's kind of nice to see someone as hard-boiled as Lex actually step back with status, right? And kind of let her take control. Because it really shows their relationship. And again, I think this is going to be, we're going to find out like her middle name, I think you said last week, is like his servant, or not servant, his assistant from the comic. I forget her name.
Consigliere.
Consigliere.
That's it would be. Yeah, I just hope it's not a middle name or something like that, man. I don't know. I don't want it to be the Dark Knight Rises thing. That I don't know.
No.
So I don't know. We'll see. But I'm glad though, because we did clock the sexual tension that was going on with those two for a while. Finally, the genie's out of the bottle with that. Great call by you for calling how the Lexo suit was going to get acquired. We'll see if it turns out to be
thank you.
Light green and purple.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to go that far, but I'm glad that we're seeing it. And I thought of you because I was like, Ed is going to be fucking hyped for this scene. When Ed gets to, I almost texted you, but I'm like, I don't know when you watch this. I was like, let me just wait for the show.
I watched it last night, actually. It was like shortly after it aired, I started it then so I could zip through the commercials.
Oh, okay. I'm always on a delay because I have to watch it on the CW website, which I'm going to say the only positive about this show going off the air is I never have to use the CW website again. It works fine when you're watching the TV, when you're watching the shows, but the fucking the ads tend to skip, freeze, go on a loop, and then when like you reboot, they make you rewatch the fucking ads. So it takes me an hour and a half to watch a 40-minute episode because I'm having so many issues, but it's just the ads. So I'm so happy I'll never have to go to the CW app again.
Yeah, I can't imagine I would need that again too. I was hoping that's not the case because I've had to use it at times too when I'm trying to catch this when I'm not home. So, all right, so let's move it on then, shall we? We did get the potential, at least maybe, we'll discuss that in a minute, the series finale of The Penguin. And we're going to leave that spoiler across. I know it's been out for over a week, but just in case you're not caught up and you're trying to do a binge thing, we are going to be talking spoilers for the finale for The Penguin. So if you have not seen it yet, come back and check us out when you have. Otherwise, let's go. I don't know. We've covered a lot of shows, right? And I don't know if a show has stuck the landing better than this. I mean, this
that's fair.
was better than I could have imagined it being.
Yep, I agree with that. This sticks the landing in a way I didn't think a show could.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but watching this, I had no fucking idea what was going to happen until it happened. And then when it did, I went, what the fuck did I... Everything I thought about this character was wrong. Like, brilliant.
Yeah. And this was almost everything. I think the only thing that we sort of nailed was the acknowledgement of Batman at the end. And that was it.
Yep.
And it was an acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement. And that's all it should have been. Again, I didn't want to see Batman running around the streets in this.
No. But there was an acknowledgement. I got what I wanted out of that.
Yep.
All right, so this finale opens when we get it's basically Rush working through Fran's memories, right? Like Rush and Sophia are working through Fran's memories, and they're learning basically her backstory, like what the hell was going on, and they're trying to find what they can use out of this to really get to Oz. Because in episode 7, that's where Sophia leaves off, right? Like she has no interest in this whole crime, family, mobster, Gigante family shit. She's done with all of that. She doesn't care anymore. Her goal is Oz. How the fuck do I hurt him more than he hurt me? Like, how do I really get to him possibly? Because it appears like he cares about nothing but her. And we learned a lot of the things we wondered, because we were asking these questions in our last episode, were how long did Fran know about all of this? Did she know about all of it? Like we figured they were going to address something with that. And Jason, it didn't play out. I didn't see this was how it was going to go.
The same. I've been saying this whole time, like, I've been blaming her for the way Oz is. Saying, oh, she turned him into this. But no, that's the real fucking sucker punch for me. He did this to her.
Yeah.
Like, he broke her spirit because she knew the whole time he murdered his brothers. And I had thought in the last episode he had some remorse, but he fucking didn't. He didn't give a shit. They were in his way. And he's the one who sets up to her, I can do this, I can do that, I can take care of you. And she actually, like, she's going to have him murdered by
the infamous Rex Calabrese, who is Oz's, like, idol. He's the idol of Oz. And we find out that Rex comes over to her house. They have a conversation in her kitchen about Oz, and she confesses she knows everything about it. She knows he killed her brother. He killed his brothers, and she found a flashlight in the pocket. So knowing that he was with them and allowed them to drown, then she hated him and said he was the devil. And Rex tells her simply, like, hey, you got a couple options here. One, you harness someone like this, right? Like they can potentially achieve greatness, right? That's one thing, and you can kind of like exploit that if that's what you want. Or the other thing is you can kill him, right? Because he mentions what he would do with someone who's looking for a father, but like. He says that's not for Oz because Oz has you.
Oh,
so that's not going to work.
No, that's my favorite. One of my favorite speeches in the episode, where he goes, "Me, I look for someone an absent father because I can take that place. You get that place, they'll do anything for you. He doesn't need me though. He has you. He'll do anything for you." And again, that was so powerful and so smart and just laid out like that. And that is exactly their relationship. And that is exactly Oz, right? Like, he will do anything for her.
Yep.
He killed his brothers to make sure he was the center of her attention.
Yeah. Very much an Oedipus complex. Right? Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's like front and center.
Oh, yeah. He, like, you watch this and you're like, he wants to fuck his mom. Like, I'm not even making a joke. Like,
yeah, and
there's tension between them, but with him.
And with the ending of this, I mean,
100%. It makes it even worse. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you think so? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I do. There's so much dark thoughts in this episode that this whole episode like brought up. It's just it's almost like limitless. But she does choose to have him murdered. So she takes him to Monroe's, which is what we saw at the end of last episode when we get that short clip of him telling his mother, you know, they're dancing and saying, hey, you know, I'm going to do everything for you. I'll get you everything you deserve. But now we get the context to that here, right? So they go to Monroe's. They're having a conversation here. He has the balls. Young Oz has the balls to tell his mother, I know you miss them, and so do I. The look she gives him.
Oh my God. Yeah, like, that's when you realize he's a stone cold psychopath.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the line this show has been towing the whole time. Is he made this way, or is he just a fucking psychopath? You know, is he evil, or is he misunderstood? And I think I was definitely like, no, his mother pushed him into this, and he got in over his head, and we make fucking excuses for Oz. But the way the twist, the punch in the fucking gut that we get and we need is no, he is the villain. He is evil. He is a stone cold psychopath. He doesn't give a shit about anyone. And by the end of this episode, that is 100% in every fucking way that it can be. It is shown. And that's how it ends, with like his exalting to the throne of, you know, his fucking Rex Calabrese.
Yeah. In his mind, at least.
In his mind. Yeah, 100%.
Because, I mean, the thing is that the guy is completely delusional. Like, and he will go to such extreme lengths to make his delusion happen for him. It doesn't matter. Again, there's more to that. But I also, it's funny you brought something up, because I think this show does a great job showing how someone is born a monster in Oz and has been since day one, and then someone who's made into a monster with Sophia, right? But she backtracks.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yep.
To show in the end, she's really not, but she was made into what the monster that Carmine framed her to be. Kind of gave her a lot of those tendencies and molded her into that, but she breaks back out of it at the end.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, I think which tries. If without Carmine, she doesn't go and hurt anyone.
No.
Maybe she runs a family business. Maybe, you know, she breaks some laws, but she's not hurting anyone. She's not killing anyone. There's nothing you can remove in Oz's life that changes what he does.
No.
And this just goes to what you said, right? Born versus created. Villains, even. Let's not even go psychological. It's a fucking Batman show, right?
Yeah.
It's exploring how some villains are created and they're not always villains, even though people think they are, because she's not a villain in this. Like, her takeaway is, shit, I came out and I attempted to be the person they accused me of, and I didn't like that. And I don't want to do that. I just want to get my revenge and get the fuck out of here. that's something the good guy realizes, or at least the anti-hero. Oz's takeaway is, I want to be the top dog. And as delusional as he is about, like, you know, his mother and all that, he ends this episode as the top dog.
This is his ascension,
and I don't want to go too
the
much
Penguin.
into it.
Yeah.
It is. He literally unites all of the seconds, because he's a second, right? And we see him have that moment in the other episode where he's having beer with them and shit. Now, this is him uniting those seconds, using what he was able to, you know, that relationship he had with them. He gets them all to turn on their first and take over. He literally downs the crime family and unites it in his image. So he is very much in charge by the end of this episode.
No. So going back to that scene at Monroe's. So he's there and she knows that she's about to hand him off to Rex to have that drive home to murder him. And basically Oz does his first talking his way out of death. His mouth is the gift of gab. No, he doesn't do it. He doesn't know it, but he does it. He does it without even knowing it.
Yes, he does.
This is what he does. We've seen him do it throughout these first 7 episodes, time and time again. And this was the origin of that, right? And by the end of that conversation, his mother decides, hey, Rex gave me 2 options. I'm actually going to choose option A when I was going to choose option B. And I'm going to make this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mold this kid and I'm going to use it, you know, for my benefit, which is also insane on her part as well, right? I don't want to get her scot-free from this. It is dark on her.
She's not scot-free. Very dark, but excuse me. I think she kind of makes it clear he broke her there. Like, I think the loss of her kids, broke her. And whereas she's not in the wrong after that, the things that she does, like, I can't call her a villain either. Like, okay, so she's so fucked up and hurt so much that she wants to kill her child who murdered her other 2 children, and in the end decides that's too much for her. She can't do that even if he is a monster. And so, well, she's got to survive. And so, like, I had way more sympathy for her after watching these scenes and watching just how Oz fucking works her over.
No, 100%. All I'm saying is that she's just not the complete angel in this, but she's still the victim.
No.
Between the 2 of them, of course.
Yeah.
And I guess let's go ahead and we'll jump to the next scene there where we see Sophia brings Oz and Fran together in Monroe's in the current day now. Like, this is actually happening, not just from a memory. And they've gotten all this information out. So Sophia knows exactly what went down. Julian Rush knows what happened. Everyone knows what happened. And she plays, this is her this is her end game at the moment, right? This is how I'm going to get to Oz the most. I'm going to make him confess to his mother and actually make his mother say the words to him, not to give him that gratitude, not to give him any of that, to say, I fucking hate you. And I knew it the entire time, right? That was her psychological end game to basically end Oz at that point. And it doesn't go down exactly. It's going down how she wants it to, right? Like Frank gets to say, she says to him, I knew all the time, I hate you and all this other stuff and yada, yada. And it's affecting Oz. And she goes to cut off Fran's finger unless Oz confesses. Oz still won't confess. He won't fucking say it.
Nope.
And she catches him. Sophia catches him saying
he doesn't realize that his mother knows.
Exactly. He's kind of like calling bullshit on that, right? Like that you don't but even when she says it, he still won't say it. Like in his mind, he believes his own bullshit. That's how I took it. Like, in his mind, he was justified in his actions now at this point.
Well, and that's the thing. All psychopaths are like that, right? Of course, everything he did was for a reason. He had to kill his brothers so he could have his ma to himself, so he could take care of her and shit. Like, he's always rationalizing it, and that's the beauty of it, is we see it come through here.
Yeah, and Sophia lets her, cuts her loose. She goes up to Oz, yells all this stuff, how much I hate you, I know everything, and everything like that. And Oz is just trying to play it off of, like, you're sick, you're twisting things around, like he's still trying to talk his way out of it. She breaks a glass bottle and fucking stabs him in the gut with it.
That was crazy.
And he, in her mind, though, she flashes back and sees him as a child again, right? Remember they show, ma, and then she sees her son soaking wet, dripping there as she imagines that they were, and it causes her to have a stroke. And she head first slams into the floor. And obviously this enrages Oz. He goes full berserk mode here, breaks loose, grabs a gun, shoots his way out of there, and takes his mother with him. So that's where Sophia's playing.
I love that this guy gets stabbed, sees his mother go down, fucking hulks out, grabs his mother with the stab wound, throws her over his shoulder, and is fucking shooting his way out with the stab wound. I'm like, oh my god! Like, but it works. Like, I buy it. Like, he's obsessed with his mother.
Yeah, and they do establish this Penguin as being, again, he's got the club foot and everything, but he's not like weak. He's, physically. He is physically like strong. Like, he does some shit, especially in this episode, where he is overpowering. And how crazy was it when he shoots his way out of there, and then we see this dude doing the drops and gets splattered from behind out of his eye.
Holy shit!
The dirty cop.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, how sick was that? And Oz takes his mother to a hospital to get her help, and then calls Vic. And Vic shows up. He patches himself up in a room, and he's like, "Listen, we gotta get going and stuff like that." But Vic also in that scene, Jason, and the payoff is even further for later. He confesses to Oz, like, how much he believes in him at that point. Because when he can't find him in the rubble earlier in the episode, Vic is freaked out about it. Like, he really cares for him, and they drive that home in this.
He does.
Yeah, they drive that home in this episode.
Vic looks at Oz as a father figure, 100%. He looks at Oz, and this will pay off. He looks at Oz like Oz looked at
Rex
Calabrese.
Yep. Full circle. So he gives him a speech and everything like that. They have a nice moment, and then Sophia goes ahead and she brings all the people that met with Oz and all their number 2 guys and like that he rounded up a couple episodes ago, and they cracked their beers together. And she's like, "Listen, I don't want any of this shit anymore. I'm going to use it to my advantage one last time. Whoever the hell wants my territories, my everything, go get me Oz. I'm going to put a bounty out, and it's yours. Go for it." Except for one guy. This guy, Link, who Vic has a connection with, who's still faithful to Oz. And he's like, "Listen," he calls Vic. They start hatching a plan behind the scenes. And Vic's with Oz, dropping him off at the courthouse, where he goes to meet with the councilman there. And this is another intense scene of many intense scenes in this, where he meets up with this councilman, has this conversation, basically tells him everything that happened, that went down throughout the entire season, essentially, and tells him, "Listen, you can frame it as a gang war between the Maronis and Falcones, and Sophia did everything, and anything that implies that can be circled back to him, he either pins on Sophia or he pins on fucking Maroni, Sal Maroni, one way or the other." So it's all there. right? And it's he basically is like, listen, you can be the guy who cleans it up. You can use this to your benefit. You'll be the guy who turned on the lights in Crown Point. You can be the guy who cleaned up the streets, did all this shit, and you're the one who brings in the hangman because she went crazy and did this whole fucking spree. Serves it to him on a silver platter.
And isn't it just Gotham, right? It's just like Gotham because, like, if you look at this, everything that Oz has pinned on Sophia, Oz himself has done.
Yep.
This
And
whole
Sal,
thing started, if we all remember. What's that?
And some of the stuff that he did, he pinned on Sal. Like he evened it out enough where he's covered on all
he did.
on all levels. He's clean as a whistle, like he mentions at the end.
But that's the thing is everything he does, he pins on someone else. And so he did all of it. And then if we remember the way this started was because he got caught trying to steal from his boss after his boss's death, and he killed his boss's son, his new boss. Mm-hmm. So it's like he fucked up so much and spun it into gold. And it's so Gotham that of course he would find someone who goes, oh, I'll get into bed with you again. Sure, make my career. This is Gotham. And I would not be surprised if this plays into the movie. Like this particular thing of having a politician in his pocket, because that's a very Penguin thing.
Yeah, I agree. So he walks out of the courtroom, basically, like it mentions, clean as a whistle. He can get away with anything. He even sees the woman who's running for mayor and everything like that there, and his mind's just like, wow, just talking about winning. So it cuts back to Sophia, who's not giving any of her actual estate up now. She decides, I'm gonna light a bunch of cigarettes, throw some shit all over the place. I'm gonna burn the fucking house to the ground. As I'm on my way out, I'm gonna actually go to Italy and fly the hell out of here like everyone wanted me to at one point, right? She's like, I'm done. I don't need anything in Gotham. I'm out. And she burns it all and watches it go. And she goes to the airport where she gets a call from Zal saying, I've got Oz, which he does because he gets picked up right after the courtroom, right? So does Vic. But little do we learn there very quickly, because she looks at Oz and Oz just gives a quick smirk and a little smile. And the look on Sophia's face drops instantly because she knows she's being fucking played. Right? And, they basically go ahead, Link, Vic, set it up where they bail out Oz. They shoot their way out of there. And he goes in and gets Sophia and is like, let me take you for a drive. Just like old times. And he goes ahead and unloads his whole plan of how he got this thing to work. Basically, you didn't see anybody. You don't care. You know how desperate people are. I gave them what they wanted to get. It was just a shot. The things that your level, they don't know about that. It's all I offered them. Probably doing his Oz bullshit and everything like that. But, it is what it is. And he drives her to an area by the bridge where it looks like he's going to fucking shoot her, and that's going to be that. Yeah. But Oz.
Did you think he was going to kill her?
I did not, only because I was thinking back to the courtroom scene, and I kind of felt like there had to be a payoff for that.
Okay, that's fair.
Did you think?
I got wrapped up into the tension of the scene, and I didn't even think about that. And he is making her think he's going to kill her for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then when he just kind of leaves and she gets picked up, I was like, oh, she survived. Because I just got so wrapped up in the tension of them together in the car and the banter. And again, these two actors have been fucking powerhouses. They've been dynamo scene stealers. And they're together in this tense scene where they're both fucking fighting for the scene, but they're both equally good. So everything was lost on me except for that moment.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. I in the back of my mind, I was thinking about the courtroom scene, but I wasn't 100% sure. I'll put it that way. There wasn't an idea that he could kill her. Maybe not. But I kind of felt like something had to happen. And then lo and behold, like we get Oz disappears, the GCPD shows up, and they take her back to Arkham. And wow. That is obviously the worst thing. She would have rather been murdered because she actually didn't like she was accepting getting shot. She was accepting that. But her look there's a look on her face when she's gonna get arrested.
Yeah.
Worse than death.
Yeah. It's because she doesn't want to go back. That's hell for her.
Yep.
She'd much rather be dead. And I think my favorite line of hers, it's so small, but it's when Oz says to her, "Were you going somewhere?" And she goes, "That was the plan." And it's just the way she delivers it, because in that moment you realize she that's when she knows, oh, he's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that it's conveyed with just this, that was the plan.
And the fact that she was, because to me also too, I'm glad you brought that line up, because it also made me think of, she was like, I'm out. Like, this is it. I'm going to get my revenge. I'm going to kill Oz quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm jumping on this plane, and I'm going to leave this entire life behind. And that's that. And she wins. But when she says that, I also got the idea where, yeah, she was also like accepting the defeat right there. She knew it was over for her. Like,
yeah,
right then and there.
Yeah, that was the moment where, because it was like, yeah, I had plans, and now you somehow fucking just came in and upset everything. How the fuck did you do that? Like, there was so much behind that. Like, and again, she's such a good actress that she conveys it with just that small part.
Yeah. So then Oz goes to the hospital, gets his mother out, and, you know, he is looking for validation. He's like, listen, I've won. Just tell me you love me. Tell me you're proud of me. And she can't, because she's, I mean, her eyes are open, but she's clearly like in a coma. She had a stroke, and like, that's there. And he is so distraught by not getting that's ultimately what he wanted, right? Like, just some final validation in his victory, that he takes his mother out of there. And we can get back to that in a second. But Jason, the scene, and there's so many of them, but the scene of maybe all scenes is him sitting on that rock or that bench with Vic, and they're talking. And it's after all of this, and he, you know, there's a confession back and forth of like, you know, he's thanking Vic for doing all of this. None of this could have been done without you, and everything. And they're really pouring their hearts out to each other, right? Like, you've seen me in my highs and my lows. And it really feels like in another show, Jason, this would be the ending where they become brothers, and it's a happy ending where they just shared such an experience together, and they share that experience together. Vic says, I see you, and he, you know, we don't hear him stutter a lot in this episode, but he is emotional, so I guess that's kind of maybe why it happens, where he can't get the word family out for a second, and he does. And then Oz's reaction to save Vic. In that moment, do you think in that moment is when he chose and he knew he was going to do what he was going to do, or did you think he knew it the whole time?
No, I think that was the moment. I think it's when Vic said family.
Yep. Me
that
too.
was it.
I fully agree. Fully agree.
I think, because I think honestly, Oz reciprocated those feelings for Vic, and that's the point. Like, that's what makes him the fucking monster of this. Because we've been watching this going, oh, you see how he treats him? He's doing Rex Calabrese. See how he sticks up for him. See, he really cares about him. And the thing is, he does. In the same way he cares about his mother. Same way he cared about his brothers. He does. It's real for him, but it's not real. And I think and he also was like, okay, so the one person I cared about, my mother, she was used against me. I almost lost her. She almost brought me down. You're saying we're family, and fuck, I agree with you, man. You gotta go.
Yeah, which means you gotta go.
And he does it. Yeah. It's and I texted you, fuck you, Oz. But great character development. But fuck you, Oz. I hated this scene. I hated it. It worked. It was great. It was brilliant. It was emotionally charged. I fucking hated it. That's it. Because I really liked Vic.
Yeah, Jason, when I told you earlier that I rewatched it right before we went on, that was the scene where I was like, oh, God. Like, it's such an uncomfortable scene to watch especially now when you know it's going to happen. Because I didn't know that was going to happen as it was happening until
I didn't either.
I didn't. No.
And I'm going to tell you this. There was almost a spoiler because Bear texted me because we were texting when he started watching the show. And he doesn't know my process that I wait until last possible minute so I have it fresh in my memory. So I didn't watch it when it aired. But he texted me like, I can't believe he turned on Vic. And I was like, I didn't watch it yet. No spoilers. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, no, you know what? I knew he was going to turn on Vic. I did call that, right? Early on, I said, he's going to have to turn on him because it makes sense. But I thought it was going to fucking be like, oh, it's me or you. Oh, I'm in a situation. Oh, shit, I like you, man, but I like myself more. But it wasn't any of that. And even when he had almost spoiled it for me, I would not have fucking guessed this is how Vic ended. I never would have guessed this moment was coming, even with the near spoiler.
Yeah, so he chokes him out on the bench, and Vic is trying to gasp for air and saying no and please and pleading for him to not do it. And he's telling him how much of a good guy he is and thanking him and stuff while he's fucking killing him. And it is brutal. It's a brutal
fucking
scene.
hard to watch.
It is. But in the next scene, we do catch up with Sophia now, who's locked up in Arkham, and Rush is back there as a doctor. He's back to working. I mean, I don't know if he ever really stopped, or just
we don't know. We don't know. I mean, he just kind of shows up. I'm willing to bet he never stopped. I mean, the guy had to pay the bills.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested with that part of it. But she gets a letter from Selena Kyle, who is her half sister, and it brings a smile to her face at the end of it.
Now, does that mean we're going to see her in the movie? You think?
I think it's a possibility, or if they're going to do a follow-up series to this, that's why I'm very curious to know where that one goes. I'm not 100% sure where that's going to get followed up, but I mean, they're definitely going to follow up on that. And like the Catwoman theme from the Batman is playing while she's reading it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was actually really cool.
I like that too. I think that was cool.
And then we get back to Oz, who shows up. He's got his basically penthouse apartment. He has a new plum ride, right? He got a brand new one, a new purple plum ride he's got there.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason, he is in full Penguin attire. He has got the whole suit. He's got the hat in his hand. He doesn't put the hat on, but we do get it. And he has his mother in the hospital in the top floor, facing out the window, seeing the skyline, the view she's always wanted, that he promised as a child he was going to give her. But Jason, there's a tear going down her eye. So she knows she's just being tortured in this moment.
Yeah.
Of being around. And remember back a couple episodes ago where they had a conversation and she said, if I ever get to that state, I want you to kill me, to let me go.
Yeah.
And
he's purposefully
he
not.
Purposefully not. Did you think I thought it was number one, him not having the gall to do it, but I also kind of think this was, in a way, his version of some sort of twisted revenge for saying that she hates him and all this other stuff. The confession, maybe.
I think that is part of it. I think that is part of it.
Little
because
both?
I think it
Yeah,
is. Right? I think, yeah, no, absolutely. Because I think it's okay. Well, you know what, Ma? I promise to take care of you. And I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to keep you alive. I'm going to give you the best. I'm going to give you everything you ever wanted. But also, I remember you said this shit. And so I'm going to do what I feel is best. And that's what it is. Everything he's doing is making himself feel better. Sure, he can Rex Calabrese it in his head that he is doing the right thing by his mother. But, you know, I think when it comes down to it, yeah, this is him controlling her. Okay, you know what? You're not going to give me your love willingly. Now you're here. You have no choice.
And Jason, he does another thing, man. He gets his lady friend over there who he pays
God, yes.
to cosplay as his mother and asks him to dance.
That
Jason,
was fucking disturbing.
He says, "Tell me you love me. Tell me you're proud of me." And he's getting all these validations for his fucking delusion from her.
Yep.
And that's why and then she says a line at the end of this, by the way. And it's like, "Nothing is standing in your way now." And he's like, "You goddamn right." And at that moment, though, as soon as I saw the slight pan away, I knew it was coming. I had a feeling. Angie was watching it with me because we watched it that Sunday night when it was airing. And I literally threw my arms up and I was like pumping my fist in the air and I was waiting for it. And Jason, we get this Gotham skyline and we get the fucking bat signal up. Obviously answering to what she just said.
Yes, we did.
And I was like, oh my dude, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it because I'm like, I need this Batman sequel like right now. I fucking need this because
I am very excited for it.
The anger I have towards Oz right now, I'm like, I need Pattinson to fucking beat the shit out of him right now.
And I wonder, like, what role is he going to play in the next one? I don't think he's going to be the villain.
No, I don't think so.
I think he's going to play a similar role. What's that?
I agree with you. And I think I saw, I don't think I saw because I shared it on our Facebook page. So right after this finished airing on HBO last Sunday night, there was an interview that came out, and Colin Farrell had said, "Hey, you know, I would, of course, if they do a Dynamite script and everything like that, I'm 100% back to do another season if that's what they want to do. You know, all of that. You know, he didn't love the makeup thing, but he loves the character so much that in playing the character, he finds him so fascinating. He wants to do it again." But he also said he's signed on for another couple of Batman movies, and he's supposed to be in like 5 or 6 scenes in the next one.
Nice. All right. Good.
So, man. So how hyped were you when you saw the Bat thing, or did you know it was coming when they started panning out? Also,
I didn't know it was coming. No, I was very excited about it.
It was because of her line. There was something about her line that was like, "Oh, wait a second." And then once the panning out happened, I'm like, "This has to be." It was her line that really led me to the Bat signal. Because I was like, "They're going to do a nice, clever." By the way, Penguin, you've had your fun, but now it's fucking Batman. That's how I took the end of that, and I'm like, yes.
Oh yeah, no, Batman's going to be looking for him. Batman's going to be getting to the bottom of shit, and I thought that was great. And again, it's the exact amount of Batman I wanted in this. Like, I genuinely think if Batman was traipsing around in any of these episodes, it would have killed what the show was doing. And that's why we got the movies. He'll be in the movies. This was perfect. Just, hey, remember he's here. Oh, you forgot? Yeah, so did the Penguin. Now you all remember.
Yep. Agreed. So besides Christine Miliani and Colin Farrell, also major props, and I'll pull up his name right now, to the kid who played Vic. The three of them are such powerhouses in this. They're so phenomenal.
Agreed.
Renzi Feliz is his name.
Okay. He was good. He was great. More than good. He was great.
Also, Clancy Brown. We got Mark Strong.
Clancy Brown. Oh, my God. Yeah, Mark Strong was good, but Clancy Brown was fucking amazing. Like, this is, like, chock full of amazing performances.
It is, man. This show was better than I could have imagined. Like, I felt good that they were going to do a nice job with this, but, man, this thing exceeded all my expectations. And I'm really bummed that it's over because I so thoroughly enjoyed every fucking episode, man. Wow.
Yeah, I did too. There was not one bad episode. There was not one bad moment. I can't think of anything that didn't work in this. This was like perfect. It was. I can't even. I'm speechless. You know how hard it is to render me speechless. I never shut the fuck up. But this was so good. I can't even have the words for it.
Yeah, this was really, really, truly something, man. It is definitely, arguably the best show I think we've ever covered. Like, seriously, like this is.
Yeah, I think so. Because I don't think either of us have had any dings.
No, not at all. Nothing. I mean,
and I think the biggest thing I have seen
was great.
WandaVision. We've had some great shows, but like the only thing I've seen of this is in public, in the media is, well, it's kind of like The Sopranos, and it's like, yeah, and The Sopranos was kind of like Goodfellas. I mean, Goodfellas was kind of like the fucking Godfather. It's like, no, this shit influences itself. It changes. This is taking This took gangster movie tropes and gave us a gangster show in Gotham with the Penguin. I mean, this was brilliant.
Yeah, and I've even told people, like, if this wasn't even called the Penguin, I still think this show works for me on every fucking level. The fact that it is called the Penguin and it takes place in a Batman universe and everything is just mind blowing. Like, you're just like, wow, and it works.
Agreed.
So, man, that is And as far as the season 2 goes, I think that I'm curious to see what that, because I just don't know how you pull that off without Batman now. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Oz would definitely be on Batman's radar by now. So that's the only, and if they come up with a great way to do it, I would be awesome. I would love it. But that's the main challenge I see right now of how the hell do you do that without Batman being involved at all this time?
I agree, unless you have him as a presence, and maybe you have him in the first episode and in the last episode, and it's like he makes his presence. Because again, I didn't want to see Batman in this season. Doesn't mean I never want to see Batman face off against the Penguin if they keep doing seasons. It didn't make sense in this season. If they face off in the next one, and he's at this point made himself a villain with a capital V, it's like, yeah, no, if he shows up in the next season, that makes sense. I don't want him there all the time. I don't want it to be the Batman show, but you give Batman the beginning, Penguin's doing shit behind Batman's back, trying to do something to keep shit secret. The presence, the looming presence is always there, and then Batman shows up at the end. That could work.
Yeah, it would be challenging, but I wouldn't be against it. I just think it would be challenging, but we'll see. We'll see where Oz ends up in the next Batman movie.
And I'll say this, like, at this point, the Matt Reeves Batman verse has given me two things that have exceeded my expectations in many, many, many ways. I'm not even going to question how they're going to do it. If they're going to do it, I'll trust it. And if they're not, I'll trust that that's the right thing, because they have, much like I said in the MCU when we first started this, they've given me no reason to doubt them. So I'm just going to trust them at this point. They've built up enough goodwill that they're going to have to make some real shit to get rid of that. And I don't think Matt Reeves going to do that. I think he'd rather stop before he did that. So I'm all in for whatever they have planned.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more shows. Nothing's been officially announced or anything like that, but like I'm sure there'll be more shows. They'll find a way to weave it into the movies and stuff like that. So
right,
excited to see where it goes. All right, so that brings us to our movie of the week then, which we just about wrapping up. We went back to our X-Men rewatch during the Fox X-Men era, and it brings us to James Mangold's second Wolverine movie, Logan, from back in 2017.
Also, I want to point out another parallel. Vic was a driver. Oz was a driver. Logan, a driver.
Yeah.
So maybe we should add a section where we talk about driving. Talk about my sciatica and your driving.
There's a great Ryan Gosling movie called Drive, by the way, that you should, if you haven't seen it, you should check out. It's pretty sick.
I haven't seen it. I actually have wanted to see that.
It's pretty awesome. All right, so this Logan is, I mean, it's easily the best Wolverine movie I think that they've ever done.
It's probably the best Fox movie.
I was actually going to say,
like, as a movie,
this is probably the best X-Men Fox movie they ever made, right? Like, for me,
yeah,
it's this and I guess Deadpool, or what else is in there? I mean, I think those two are above the rest, to be honest. We didn't do our final rankings yet, but
we haven't. But I would say X2 is being up there for me. I would say
that's in the conversation. First class.
I really enjoyed Days of Futures Past, but I think a lot of them are in the conversation. But I think like this is a movie. This is a film. You know what I mean? Like, those were movies. Those are superhero movies, and they were great. And we can talk about how great they are. We have, and we'll list them. But this is like, the fact that superheroes are in this is kind of secondary to the drive of this movie. And that's why I say, like, it's not a superhero movie. It's a fucking movie. And that's why I think it's the best out of these, because it's just like, you don't have to be a comic book fan. You could know nothing about comic books. And if you could suspend your disbelief and kind of just fill in the gaps of what you need to know about, like, Logan and Professor X, you're going to enjoy this.
Yeah, I'm always kind of interested to see someone who they just watched Logan without any prior knowledge, what their view of it is. Because for me, a lot of this is seeing where the character of Logan is at this point, and this kind of like, I don't know, this isn't like a dystopian future, but it's set in the 2029, and based on things that are said,
it's got dystopian feel.
Okay, I think it's got somewhat
a dystopian feel. I'll be honest with you. When I was watching this 2 nights ago, I was thinking like, shit, this is very dystopian for the mutants.
Yeah,
maybe not for people, because we don't like, people don't fucking clock that, but it's definitely dystopian for the mutants.
All right, that's fair. Okay, I'll agree with that. That's fair. Yeah, because they've been wiped out at this point, or just about wiped out. They're at the edge of extinction, and It's always been discussed about like what timeline this is in, and we've discussed the Fox X-Men timelines are all over the fucking place. But based on things that are said in this movie, this is definitely in the original timeline for me. Like Charles references New York and everything like that. The events that so does Logan. They both reference the stuff that happened in the first X-Men. So I will say that that's the case. There's also, did you have a chance to clock the deleted scenes?
Oh no, I didn't even realize there were deleted scenes.
Okay, so there's one of the deleted scenes here that, and it's funny, this is the second week in a row I'm going, I just randomly went into the deleted scenes, and I don't always, is there's this, you know, when they're at the, they're having dinner with the family, and everything like that, and they're having that conversation there. There is a deleted scene where the woman asks Logan if he's ever been married before and stuff like that. And Charles says, well, actually, he was with someone who was at the school. Her name was Jean. They were together and all this other stuff and yada, yada. And then he's like, but then he killed her. And there's this awkward silence. And he, like, Logan kind of laughs it off and, like, takes the tension out of the scene. But that, to me, that tells me that this is after X-Men The Last Stand, and this is after the Wolverine and everything, right? Like, to me, that solidifies it. Granted, it's a deleted scene, but still, the intention was there.
Still. Although I will say this, as much as I love this movie, I hate the idea. And it is what it is. You are right. This is where Wolverine goes. But I hate the idea that this is how Wolverine, Charles Xavier, and the X-Men end up. Like, they're all dead. Everyone's fucking dead. And Wolverine is worse than dead when we first meet him. He's a fucking... I don't even know. He's broken, you know? And so it's like I want this to be in Elseworlds. I want this to be like Old Man Logan, where it's like, it never happened, but like, no, this is clearly where that X-Men universe ends, and that is the only thing I don't like about it, because it's depressing.
Yeah, and you want to know something, though, for going back to the Fox X-Men timelines, Jason, we can take this as an Elseworlds, because it was all over the fucking place, so, I mean, you can still have it as an Elseworlds. At the same time, you can still have it. Who the fuck knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, James Mangold had an idea, but like, who really knows?
No, but the fact is, Deadpool 3 takes that away from me, because Deadpool 3 says, because we know that Deadpool takes place in this universe and the universe with the other X-Men, because he's the anchor being of the universe.
Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, I guess it does further hammer home that that's actually where it went.
It's so depressing.
It is kind of depressing. For this movie, though, for Logan, there's a lot of interesting things here. Like, a big thing in the movie for me is, like, especially early on, right? Before we meet Laura, because that's where the heart of the movie goes. But I think the heart of the movie for this really is between Logan and Charles, right? Like, despite what happened with Charles's seizure, he clearly killed the X-Men with one of his seizures. Logan was the only survivor, right? They've teamed up with Caliban at this point, and they're just trying to go off into their Sunseeker in the middle of the ocean where Charles can't hurt anybody anymore, and just kind of ride off into the sunset, and just both of them die, right? Like, that's kind of what it is. They want to just literally, that's what they want. And they're just trying to get the money to get there.
They don't want to hurt anyone.
Yeah, they don't want to hurt anyone anymore. Like, that's that. And Logan's had it with everything, essentially. You know, he gets a little chuckle when he drives these, you know, high school kids around or college partying kids around. You can see he gets a little smirk, and he's just like, these fucking assholes and stuff like that. But that's what he wants. But then when we see Charles and what the state he's in, and he's being drugged up constantly, and, you know, again, just for his own good.
Depressing.
It is crazy. He's babbling about Taco Bell and all this other shit, and he's wheeling around, and, you know, he, like, sometimes remembers who Logan is, sometimes he doesn't, it's wild. And you see Logan's falling apart. I mean, do you also believe like that Logan has cancer in this movie, and that's why he's like deteriorating?
I think
Or no?
I mean I think the metaphor is cancer, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's actually cancer. I think it is what they say it is. It's like the adamantium is poisoning him, and the poison is interfering, and the fact that he's aging is interfering with his ability to heal. So I think it's coded as cancer, but I think it's meant to be what it is on the surface. Like it's
Okay.
no, I'm fucking poisoning myself with my own power.
Okay. All right. No, that's fine. I mean, either works, but yeah, clearly his powers are deteriorating. He's not healing anymore and stuff. Like even popping the claws out is, hurting him and stuff like that. And they got Caliban
Well, it
with
always
them.
hurts.
Yeah, it always has.
Yeah, but we see it like we see it take a toll on him, right? Yeah. And don't they say something about there being pus on his hand at some point?
Yeah, Caliban calls that out on him. Because he's trying to hide it. He's trying to cover it all up. Like he doesn't want to face it. And then we get the discovery that we find out that, a company here has been, Transigen has been going ahead and taking the stuff from Alkaline Lake, again, going back to the original X-Men timeline, that they have as DNA, and they're using it to make kids and, make weapons, basically, for themselves. And one of them gets out, and we find out it's X-23, and we meet Laura. And her introduction in this movie is so fucking badass when she's with Charles, and he gives her cereal. And by the way, that is something I've been saying to Marvel, my dog, who reacts to the train by my house. Está bien, choo-choo, choo-choo, It's just... like Charles does when he's like rambling in bad Spanish. Like it's ven aquí, choo-choo.
Yeah, you're right. That's hysterical.
It's I love that. I don't know why it is. And then Laura's attitude probably is kind of like my dog Marvel, where she's a little bit of sassy one over there. That's funny. I'm gonna wheel around in this chair tonight. Just start rambling about Taco Bell later on. I'll be Charles. But dude, when we see her and they send in the Reavers are sent in to get her, and she just is like covering up her cereal. She's watching them. She rolls that fucking head out and takes them all out. Wow.
She is she's so badass. Like that scene is amazing.
And Logan's response to seeing her
where she fights.
Oh yeah, no, she's great in this. She's great in it. And even like Hugh Jackman's, I mean, would you say this is his best turn as Logan? I mean, he was really great in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh
too.
Yeah. No, but this is acting. Like that was him being Logan, and he was talented and he was doing lots of fun Wolverine stuff. Again, this isn't him being Wolverine. This is him acting. You know what this movie reminds me of? Because I don't know if you know this about me. I love Westerns. I hated them as a kid. Love them now. Westerns
Western.
are now. Yeah, this is it definitely is, but even more so. Westerns have been kind of likened to comic book movies in the sense that, like, okay, this is like the Western, right? Like it's all over the place, and it's a fad, and it's about machismo and all that. But this movie reminds me a lot of the movie Unforgiven. If you've ever seen the movie Unforgiven, it is pretty much like the postscript to all of those Westerns of like, okay, I'm old, I'm fucking done. I got one more thing in me and I got to do it. I'm still a badass, but God, I don't want to do this. That was what Unforgiven was. And then at the end of Unforgiven, spoilers for 20-year-old, 30, 40-year-old movie, like he fucking just, something clicks in him and he gets that back, and he fucking takes care of business. in a terrible way, just like Wolverine. So this is, for me, the comic book version of Unforgiven, where it's like, no, we're gonna like put a nice postscript on this.
Yeah, that's a great call. I can, now that you've laid it out like that, I can definitely see that with this thing. Yeah, and then there's just. By the way, what did you think of the? I'm going to say right now, I personally love the concept that the X-Men comics exist in this universe at this point, and it's addressed where Logan says, "A quarter of it happened, but not exactly like this," and they just ran on and made up bullshit and stuff like that. It kind of seems like that's something that would probably happen.
100%, 100%. If
Someone's
we
going to
had
monetize
superheroes, and we were like, it's like the Seven, right? In The Boys, it's like, all right, well, we got press. Now, this isn't as cynical, and it's not as sort of like really down on superheroes as The Boys are. So it's kind of like, all right, it's not propaganda, but it's still like, yeah, part of this happened, darling. This isn't real. And I think that absolutely would happen. We'd have television shows of them.
Yeah, because it's addressed. I mean, he even says it. Like, he gets pissed about it. He's like, this is, what do you call ice cream for bedwetting babies or some shit like that? He says something like that.
Yes. Yep.
And Laura also quotes a Western where she sees on TV that she's watching with Charles that she recites at the end after Logan dies. Which I thought was pretty cool. And then at that point, the heart of the movie is definitely expanded from Logan and Charles to include Laura and the three of them, because she loves Charles also. She instantly loves Charles. Like, you could see that she has an affinity for him immediately. And she also, once she learns that's her father, like, she sees, their relationship of how, like, stubborn Laura and Logan are throughout for a while, right? Like, when he's cursing and he can't get the car to work right and stuff like that, and she's talking Spanish to him and he's just like doesn't understand what the fuck she's saying. Like, it's so interesting that their relationship, how it builds. And even when they get to the farm and we get the introduction of X-24, who I found that very interesting, because that was obviously old man Logan seeing the younger version of him if he didn't have a soul. Right?
Yes.
Like the killing machine he would
become. It's the Gemini Man.
Yes, exactly. But done what?
but done well. But done
exactly.
Well. Good point.
Yeah, and the fact that Charles is talking about how it's the greatest night he's had in years and how happy he was, and then is fucking murdered by a face of the person like he obviously has an affinity for. So fucked up.
Yeah, but I think this is awesome when Wolverine does get to Charles. Before he said, he's like, it wasn't me. I didn't do this. He loves this man so much. I can't let this man go into the afterlife thinking that I'm the one who did this. I can't do it. I love that. But I also Charles knew it wasn't him.
I think I'm just saying he just saw the face. That was all. He initially was like,
oh no. But,
yeah.
But it's definitely something Wolverine worries about. It's definitely something worth talking about. But I do think the director gives us, or Patrick Stewart gives us enough to go he knew that wasn't Logan. And I think that's important for fans. It's already depressing. That is how our Charles Xavier dies. Do we have to think that he died thinking the one fucking person left who loves him and protects him did it?
Well, we also do see a much worse death for another Charles Xavier in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness when fucking Wanda snaps his neck.
Yeah, but I don't give a shit about that Doctor Strange.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is, I'm just talking about in the grand scheme of things.
You're
it's
right.
funny because
You're right.
if they never touched these versions of the characters again, I would have been absolutely fine with it because the way the send off they get in this movie for both of them is perfect.
It's beautiful.
And it's fine that
It's beautiful.
but the MCU did go and bring them back briefly, and it's fine because they do very
It's not the
clearly
same.
establish it's no, it's not the same. It's just another version.
Yeah, it's not the same. Like that's the thing. Like seeing Charles Xavier in the Multiverse of Madness, not even for a second did I think like, oh no, that robs this, because it's a beautiful end for that character. Like that's just not this character. I think it gets a bit dicier when you talk about Deadpool 3, but I think they also make such a point of saying, like the whole beginning is, yes, we're raping the corpse of Wolverine, but not your Wolverine.
Yeah, no, I and again, it's played for laughs, but like the things that are done in Deadpool and Wolverine is again there. I think that yes, I know it ends up with like the whole bye, like which has become like a an epic beginning to a fucking movie, and it's awesome. But it's played for laughs. But I'm glad they didn't resurrect this Logan. They do acknowledge in a playful way. They do acknowledge how badass and how this Logan has ended. And they're not trying to, even though Deadpool is trying to dig him up, but obviously cannot do it. So they have some fun with it. And yes, they're like, but we're going to give you Hugh Jackman and him together. We found their fun, creative way to do it without taking a shit on Logan and what this movie did. And Deadpool 2 also gives all the praise in the world to this movie as well. So Deadpool did it in 2 movies in a row.
Yeah, you're right.
So we get some awesome fights between, X-24 and Logan here, and then, they kind of hit the road for a bit. There's a lot of developing of the relationship with Laura and Logan, which also does pay off in Deadpool and Wolverine as well. Like they are respectful of it because the arc that is picked up for her in that movie, when they have that scene by the campfire and they're talking and, he's like, I know, I'm always the wrong guy and stuff like that. She's like, oh, you are always the wrong guy until you weren't. Like rewatching this movie adds depth to that scene.
You're right.
Because it is the way that they go down, right? Like they have the fight at the end and he does that, gets that juice up and stuff and one last ride and everything. And she gets the sunglasses in this movie, which gets acknowledged in Deadpool and Wolverine, which is another cool thing. And they have that awesome battle at the end where they battle back to back and they fight and they team up and stuff. Ultimately, she uses the adamantium bullet that he was going to fucking save to blow his brains out, I guess, once he got Charles to safety. Cool Great scene. Or I kind of think he was probably going to save that until Charles passed away on the Sunseeker.
Yeah.
And I think he was going to do it.
His plan was to go and usher Charles into the afterlife as comfortably as possible on the Sunseeker, and then once that's over, blow his brains out.
Yeah. Woo! When you really think about it, some dark shit for this movie.
It's dark, and also like let's not we're talking about Wolverine and Professor X, and that's important, but let's not sleep on what happens to Caliban. Caliban has a fucking terrible end. Like he's got the most heroic death, I would say, because he gets to like, you want to use me, but like they catch him and force him to sniff out his friends.
Yeah. Yep. And he does what he can.
Like, watching what happens to them.
Yeah, and he does what he can, right? To kind of like give them, the heads up, because they even call it out, like, hey, you've been giving us delayed information to make sure that your friends are one step ahead. And props to Stephen Merchant, by the way.
Oh yeah, he's doing what he can.
Awesome.
Oh, so good. And that last moment where like he's in the cage, and then he just gets the it's it's a beautiful moment because he accepts his death. He accepts his death knowing that A, he's never going to escape this, and B, might as well buy his friend some time. And it's just he's got the most badass death in the movie, in my opinion. Even over Wolverine, because Wolverine's is, you know, fucking huge and everything, but he's Wolverine. This was Caliban, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, Wolverine ultimately, you know, Logan goes ahead and, you know, ends up taking out X-24. Well, I mean, they're fighting, and then Laura kind of like shoots him with the adamantium bullet, ending him. And she gives him the nice funeral. And there's also the heartbreaking scene where she's holding his hand and saying "Daddy" and calling him all of that and everything. Like that was tough. That was tough. And she gives this.
And I gotta say, watching this makes me want to rewatch at least the end of Deadpool 3. Because I don't think I appreciated how fun it was and how powerful it might have been to get Hugh Jackman and this actress in these roles together again. Because after I forgot how emotionally charged she was in this, especially at the end. I might actually go back and rewatch the movie now just through the lens of like, okay, let me track what goes on between those two characters.
Yeah, I mean, any excuse to rewatch Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Like, it's
good.
You have to twist my arm. But yeah, also by the way, Boyd Holbrook was really fucking good in this movie. He was such a prick that I couldn't stand. He was so good in this.
Yeah, he is good.
And Richard E. Grant, by the way,
he's the villain, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Richard E. Grant. Thank you for bringing him up. I forgot he was in this. It was amazing to see him. I love me some Richard E. Grant. You know, as I probably spoke about when we did the Loki episode that he's in. He's so good, and he's great in this. He's fucking great in this.
Yeah, he is. He is. And I do love Laura gives him a funeral at the end, and as she's walking away, turns over the cross to the X and everything like that. And I thought that was a pretty nice touch on how to end that. Yeah. So, anything else on Logan before? I mean, this is definitely. I agree. This is spoiler alert. This is number one on the Fox X-Men list for sure.
Yeah.
This is.
I think it has to be. One could argue it's not the most fun, right?
No, it's not.
It's a downer, but I don't think you can argue it's not quality. Like this is a good movie. This is something that if it was tweaked and it wasn't an X-Men movie, might have been Oscar contender.
Yeah, and I remember they were trying to push for this to get to get this some Oscar consideration, and I think it should have.
I agree.
Yeah, this movie was. I mean, yeah, it's not necessarily the most fun. It has some moments in here and stuff like that, but it's emotionally charged, like you said earlier, like for sure. Especially if you're invested in these characters, like we are.
Right, absolutely.
So, and also, by the way, for those who have the Blu-ray and stuff like that, which I do, definitely give the Logan Noir cut a watch. I actually watched it on Saturday for the first time, and it's pretty awesome to watch in black and white too. To be honest with you, it's pretty sick to see that. So if you're a fan of the movie and you want a slightly different spin on it, I would suggest that Logan Noir. It's in the special features section of the Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's a super cool feature. It's funny, I didn't remember watching that until I was talking to Ed. I was like, how was it? He was like, didn't you say you watched it? And I was like, oh yeah, that was like the second or third time I watched it. Just so long ago. But it is a cool experience, though.
Yeah, if you want to just jazz it up a little bit. It does. It absolutely does. So, all right. So that wraps it up for us this week. Thanks for joining us as always. If you joined us on the Facebook live stream, be sure to check out Granny's Peach Tea's Facebook group. where we share a bunch of trailers and articles and fun other stuff that we don't get to talk about on the show. Check out Pop Culture Pros and popculturepros.com, because that's what we are presented by. If you're checking us out on YouTube, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros, and wherever you found your audio-only podcast, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. Jason and I will be back next week. We will be talking about the episode 9 of Superman and Lois as we get around to wrapping that up and ending their run. And we will be ending our Fox X-Men era with the New Mutants, which, Jason, you haven't seen yet, right?
I have never seen. I have not seen it.
You got a new movie to watch, my friend. This was it's interesting. I will say this. The director of the film had said that part of his inspiration of what he had done with it, or what he did with it, was Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors.
Oh, okay. All right. Some little overlap then.
Funny how this seems to work.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Full circle.
So, right, and then we'll see what else may or may not pop up. But we got that next week. And Jason, Sunday night. Speaking of which, we're back. PCP Deep Dive.
We are back. Yeah, Jenny's show is finishing up. So she told me that on Sunday she'll be good to go. So this Sunday night, got to reach out to Tim. We're going to be covering Freddy's Dead, the last of the, I guess Freddy proper movies, just Freddy solo proper movies. And then I think we're also going to be covering, we're also going to be covering the Treehouse of Horror episode, which I'll send out to you and Tim, what episode it is on The Simpsons, where they kind of send up Nightmare on Elm Street. So we'll be covering those two things on Sunday, 8:30.
Nice. All right, so if you're interested in that, come check us out then. So we'll see you then. Peace.